Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. I'm just finished with my interview that you'll hear in just a few minutes with Rick Overton. I was a little caught off guard. I got to my office and he was here early. He was here 40 minutes early. And that's what happens when Rick's 66. And I think as you get older, you start showing up to places early or even on time, which in the comedy world, on time is early. So I had planned on preparing for the interview a bit more. I was going to have, a few facts at my fingertips, a little bit more. So I apologize if I sound unprepared when I ask him for the name of his special. But I did see half of it, and it's fucking great. And I'm going to watch the other half as soon as I finish recording this. Anyway, so I'm a little flummoxed also because we got house guests. House guests are great, but it throws off your life. It throws you off kilter a bit. My niece Julia, who's my sister Deirdre's daughter, who I fucking love. She's just out of college. She went to SUNY Oneonta, and she and two friends are driving across the country with the goal of getting a DUI in each state. They've got a beer bong, which is a funnel that you pour a beer into. If you don't know this, it's a funnel, and you pour a beer in the top and you swallow it in like 3 seconds. And they have stickers on their beer bong from every state they've been in so far. They like to party. These girls like to party, and they are just, it's so great to be around this young energy. It just reminds you of like how adventurous you were at that age. They're just like, whatever you want to do. You're like, hey, you guys want to try surfing? Yeah, let's go. And they're in the car 3 seconds later. They're fucking, whatever. Just, we did a lot of fun stuff. I had a comedy show Friday night I invited them to. And it was, there's this thing called the Comedy Supernova. If you're ever in Hollywood and you're looking for a comedy show, I got to tell you something. The Comedy Supernova is so badass. It's behind a nightclub in this parking lot that's been cleared out. There's a stage and lights, and it's theater in the round. And they get these crazy lineups. Like when the show that I was on, it was Bill Burr, Anthony Jeselnik, Pete Holmes, Beth Stelling. I mean, it was insane. And like a couple other people. Bobby Collins was on it from the old days. And I went on last, which people go like, oh, wow, you're the headliner. No, I'm clearly not the headliner of this lineup. But I think nobody else wanted to go last. And the show starts at like 7 o'clock, so it's still light out. This is the longest days of the year. So by the time I get on, I'm like the first comic to go on when it's gotten dark. Like literally the sun goes down on the comic who's ahead of me, which is Beth. But then it's like totally dark. I get up there and all of a sudden they start this like light show on the walls around the stage and choppers. And meanwhile, I got my wife decided to, like, my niece and her friends were coming. So my wife and my kids are like, oh, we're coming too. So they got a table for 6 in the middle of the crowd. And as I get on stage, there's some kind of a police activity and choppers. This is outside. Choppers show up overhead. There's sirens. There's fucking fireworks. Somebody starts lighting off fireworks. It was like complete bedlam. And I hit the stage and all this starts. And so I just played off of that. I'm not going to lie to you. I was nervous. Because, I don't want to bomb in front of my family. And so I made fun of my niece and her friends, and I fucked with the crowd, and I got away with it. Had a strong set, went well, and then sent my niece and her friends off to a gay bar in West Hollywood. They wanted to party afterwards. I go, this is how you party in L.A. Go to a gay bar, and the guys fucking loved them. We're buying them shots. They were dancing with them. But they, and this way I know I can tell my sister that my niece is not going to be hooking up with guys in L.A. So, win-win. What else? We did beach yoga with them on Sunday morning. They were all hungover from the night before. I said, no, get your asses up. We got a yoga class at 9 a.m. on the beach. Let's do it. Good times. Good times. Venice is going through a cleanup right now. People are very aware of the homeless situation in Venice Beach, and it's gotten out of control. The beach is lined with tents. There's a grass median between the boardwalk and the sand, and it's covered in, I would say, at least 100 tents. And it's pretty unsightly, and it's a little dangerous. There was a murder there 2 days ago. One of the homeless people murdered another homeless person. Or I'm sorry, an unhoused person. I forget what you call homeless people now. And so there's a big cleanup going on, and there's kind of a battle between, there's a sheriff, Villa Cuerva. I forget the guy's name, but he's kind of like this badass who's like, no, I'm going to swoop in with on my white horse and just clean up the beach and throw everybody in jail, which does fucking nothing except cost money. And then the people come out and you've treated them like garbage and they're fucked up. And now you've taken all their belongings. So instead there's a guy named Bonin, who's he's the rep for Venice. And he's trying to do it a little more humanely, get people into drug rehab, get them into motels and shelters. There's no easy answer. I mean, it's really like, it's really a bummer to see people living like this, because most of them have mental illnesses. A lot of them have drug addictions. They're not people that have any stability at all. And you're trying to find a solution for people that have needed solutions their whole lives. Most of these people were troubled kids, troubled teens. They were runaways. And it's just, oh, God. I wish there was some easy answer of how you deal with this homeless problem. There's 60,000 homeless people a night sleep on the streets in L.A. So anyway, we'll see if there's violence, because now the cops are going to come. Over the next few weeks, they're gonna move people out, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of drama. We'll see what happens. Anyway, tour dates coming up. Go to Fitzdog.com. Also, don't forget to get your Grapefruit Simmons t-shirts available at the website. My guest today, Rick Overton. I don't know if you know him. You do know him if you saw him. He's been in everything. He's been an actor and a comedian for many years. Put it this way. He was in fucking Airplane 2. Beverly Hills Cop, Earth Girls Are Easy, Groundhog Day, Mrs. Doubtfire, Fun with Dick and Jane, The Informant, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, Seinfeld, Married with Children, ER, Mad About You, Curb Your Enthusiasm, NYPD Blue, 6 Feet Under, Lost, The Office, Veep. This guy fucking works because he's super talented and he's a great improvisational comedian, actor. And I've known him for many years, and I just fucking love the guy. And I was very excited that he was coming on. So here it is, my chat with the lovely and talented Rick Overton. Sitting in Fitzdog Studios, it's the second guest that's been in these hallowed grounds since March of 2020. And it's an honor to have it be Rick Overton, my old friend and one of my comedy heroes. Just a guy who's, just a guy that is endlessly creative and present and a character.
Well, thanks. Yes, I'm a character actor. That's for sure.
But
I'm not a lead. Have a good look.
Yeah, well, you've been a lead, haven't you?
No, I've always been the buddy or this guy or that, and so my hero was like Peter Sellers, who was never really in neutral. There's no film of Peter being Peter.
Right.
And so I'm usually some guy. And a couple of things came pretty close to me, but most of the time I'm paid to be British or German or something like that, or Russian,
Right. And is that something that, because you're not a bad looking guy. You're You're tall and you've got pretty eyes. I mean, I could see. All of a sudden, I start hitting on you in my office during a podcast.
What's the PC response to this? How do I respond to this?
You me too me during a podcast.
Yeah. No means no, Greg.
Don't look at my eyes.
My tits are down here, Greg. I'm 66. My tits are way the fuck
they are way down there. Jeez, I've been going to the gym because of that. I made the mistake.
I'm doing it at home.
If there's any young people out there that are lifting weights, do not do a lot of pectoral build up.
You let that go.
The bigger you build it up, the more it falls.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
See, you want those French dancer boobs.
Yes.
Later in your life as a man.
Right.
You know,
just long.
A wine fits into a champagne goblet.
Right. Oh my God. And I go to the gym and I just realize at this age, I still think in my head that if I lift a lot of weights, I'm going to get big again. Not again.
Big.
I was never
you were pretty big for a little bit there.
A little bit. I was
had the
pumped up.
The shoulders out there.
A little bit. Yeah. But it's just, it requires you doing that for the rest of your life. And who wants to spend that much time in the gym for the rest of their life?
Have you ever seen the guys that do the juice and then let it go?
Right.
And they just become like Stay Puffed. They just become the Marshmallow Man. There's no real, they lose all definition. Everything sort of smooths and rounds out like a kid made it out of Play-Doh.
Right. There's one comic that we both know that did that. His first name is Bob. Also a character actor, comedian, short. Not going to say his last name on the podcast. Okay. But he juiced up, and he was huge, and he was getting work because of it.
Yeah.
He would get tough guy roles a lot, and then he got older, and man, everything collapsed.
That is another type, by the way. You know, you can play that type of guy.
Right.
There will always be a Western or a whatnot.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Or a mob guy.
Mob guy,
you know, yeah. You've played mob guys, haven't you?
One time I played Polish Mob.
Uh-huh.
The thing Chasing Bob. It was Lenny Ostrovich's film, and
oh really?
Yeah, he funded this thing, and I was the Polish gangster who Lenny and I had a bet going since childhood where we dare each other to do preposterous things.
You're right.
And so that was the premise, and I got to show that I do a Slavic dialect, and that helped me land a little bit of work on things like other projects where indies films where they needed a Russian gangster or something like that. So
right.
Smaller things I could play this person more than once, and then later for TV I do several of these.
Yeah.
It's quite handy to hear dialect, because to hear dialect perfect is to not load sound of language into your Word file. Put it in iTunes. And the reason to put in iTunes is because it never judge the sound of music. It only play back accurate.
Ah.
Yeah, you understand? Yes, yeah.
Yes.
And it is music. A bird can learn faster than man.
Really?
A bird does not judge.
Right.
We judge the sounds of the words, and our word file is constantly word correcting and putting it back in this sound again the way your parents taught it to you.
Right, right. So the people that do the accents well have been around it enough. Like when you hear Margaret Cho do her parents, or you hear Kira Sultanovich doing her mother.
Right.
By the way, most underrated comic in LA right now is Kira Sultanovich.
And another one of the best set list players on Earth.
Is that
on
right?
all planet Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharpest, lightning, laser fast.
Yeah.
Whew.
But I mean, she's got fucking chops.
Special after special.
Yeah.
A machine. She's a machine.
Yeah.
Another one of the great comics who should have a sitcom or something or other, right?
Yeah. I know. Isn't it funny? Like sometimes I have this fantasy that I'm going to become a comedy manager, and I'm going to grab. And I had this fantasy early on, and you know who my original roster was?
Who?
Zach Galifianakis and Patrice O'Neill, back when they were like struggling open micers. I was like, you know what? I should become a manager because I can make these guys big.
You absolutely could too.
I couldn't have fucked them up. I couldn't have ruined their careers. As bad of a manager as I was, I couldn't have stopped those two.
Right. Well, I also think it wouldn't have been a matter of you not fucking it up. It would be a matter of you would be like one of those directors who's also an actor.
Right.
And you know how to talk to actors.
Yeah.
While directing
Yeah.
which is its own separate great thing, you know?
Right.
Doesn't always have to be a necessary thing on set, but it sure is handy when it's there.
Yes. You can understand things like when you see the actor go into a funk of being able to say, hey, why don't you go smoke a cigarette or get a cup of coffee or do whatever. We're going to take some precious time down, and I'm going to talk you through it and get you back where you need to be. I had a meltdown on the set of, what's Scott Aukerman's show called? Comedy Bang Bang.
Oh, you did Bang Bang?
Yeah, I did Bang Bang.
I did a couple of Bang Bangs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They're fun.
And I had this crazy long monologue that they didn't give to me until I was in makeup.
Yeah.
And it was nonsensical. It was literally like jumblings of words that didn't make sense. And so I was on set, and first of all, I get a bucket of ice water dropped on my head at the beginning of the scene. I'm a mailman, and I get a bucket of ice water dropped on my head, and then I got to go straight into this high energy monologue of nonsense. And I'm telling you, I couldn't get through it, Rick. I was fucked. And once you get that fucked, you just shut down.
I know.
And he handled it really well. He stopped it down. We went through the lines. He talked me through it, and then we got it.
Were they able to do a cut with it? To do
and a chop.
Cut back to his face going, what, huh? And then back to you again as you, okay, I got it, let's go.
Yeah.
Right. That's
they did
lots
that.
of things. Editing is the Jesus of the memory bank for the actor,
right.
you know?
What's the worst meltdown you ever had on set? Did you ever just freeze up or?
I haven't frozen up. I'd go, I'm sorry, everyone. I know this is, and I don't like being unprofessional in front of professionals. And if I forgot a line or right after lunch.
Yeah.
And all your blood is in your stomach battling with this food you don't usually eat.
Yeah.
And you overdid it because it's free.
Right.
Come out with your stomach and you don't look like before the shot.
Yeah, right.
You're one shit away from looking normal again, you know. And you're fighting for it. But the thing is, usually everyone on the set has that kind of knowing nod.
Right.
Yeah, look, every star does it. The lead will do it right after lunch, too.
Yeah.
No, I learned my lesson. I eat a light lunch, and there's this beautiful spread. It's not the point.
It's not for you.
Not on a work day, man.
Get some protein in you.
Tiny amounts of this, nibble all day like a hypoglycemic, and keep your blood upstairs.
Yeah. What about your coffee intake? What's that?
I had to cut it out because of kidney stones.
Oh,
and
shit.
It makes, I have the oxalate kind. That includes chocolate, coffee, a lot of dairy. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Really?
You know, and I had a lifetime of mostly enjoying it, so I can say, you know, it was good while it lasted.
Yeah, right.
But I don't want to ever go through a kidney stone again.
I had one for a half a day, and it was probably I think it was the most pain I've ever been in.
And you had a woman tell you what?
What's that?
A mother told you what?
That I don't drink enough water?
No, a mother said that I had one and it rivals childbirth.
Oh, right.
So I named the two of them, Fred and Barney. Meet the kidney stones.
Kidney stones. Meet the kidney stones. So when you passed them, did you actually catch it in a filter? Because mine, they told me to pee into a coffee filter to see if see if the stone came out, and it came out.
We caught it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah.
And the ureter is the width of a human hair. And so when this crystal jagged thing that looks like the ship that El Jarrell came to Earth in Superman's little spiky baby pod, and it's going down this thing that is a ureter made purely of nerve endings in a tube.
Oh,
as it goes, as it scratches all the way down to the bladder and then out. Once it's in the pee hole, you're pretty clear, man.
Yeah.
If it's big enough to hit you in the pee hole, you're like, everyone thinks that's the part that hurts. That's not the part that hurts.
Yeah.
No, when one of them keyholed at the edge of my ureter into the bladder, so that kidney now no longer functions for the time being and can overload and explode.
Really?
So they had to go up my dick with a laser and zap it out.
What do you mean up your dick?
That's how you get it. That's
like literally up the hole with the...
Yeah, you're out for that.
Whoa.
They put me out for that, but they go up the dick with a hole and a little ortho laser, a fiber tube.
Yeah.
And then he's watching on a camera. There's the stone, pop, 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 pop. The white flashes, and it starts to break away. But it's also traumatizing the opening. So they have to put a stent in there so it doesn't completely close because of a laser tack on it. It's just been hit by a laser.
Yeah.
And it could seal up completely, and then you lose the kidney. And you have all kinds of problems. So the stent is in there, and guess where the string sticks out?
Where?
Right out the end of your dick. So and peeing during that is one of those scenes from a movie. Yeah, and if you're in public doing it, there's no way to hide the noise.
Oh.
And guys are, and when I'm at a urinal and doing it, and there's, oh God, oh, and they don't recoil in horror. They're all like, oh, dude. But it's like seeing a nut kick where everyone feels it at once, and it's just a room full of men all peeing at once, and they're all like, "Oh, geez, it's my turn next. Do I get one of those?
Oh God!
What do you have in store for me? You know?"
And how long does that stay in there for?
Several days.
Oh.
And then you know what he does? I'm going to pull it on 3.
Oh no!
1, boom, and he always does 1. You know?
Yeah. Oh my God!
I knew it. I've seen it in the movies too many times. I know you're not pulling on 3.
Right. Oh, yeah. I got it went into my back. The pain was in my back and my kidneys. I fell to the ground and I didn't know it was a kidney stone. I thought it was a back spasm. So I was laying on the ground in the fetal position.
Me too.
I couldn't breathe. I couldn't draw a breath.
Same here.
And my wife starts laughing. She thinks it's funny.
Okay, that's where we diverge. I didn't have that. I was on my own.
Oh my God.
I took Uber. Yeah, fuck that ambulance price bullshit.
Yeah.
Man. And so, but the guy driving the Uber's like, "Are you gonna make it, man?" "Yeah, we're gonna make it." Oh God, we're gonna make it. He's like, "What's gonna happen in the back of my car?" Boom.
Yeah.
This is my car.
So did you get the attack and then immediately, or you had been?
I waited. I didn't know what the hell. Then I started thinking, my appendix blew.
Yeah.
Maybe this is appendicitis.
Right.
And then, my appendix checked out just fine.
Yeah.
I went to the facility, and the doctor says, "I think my appendix blew." And he went and slapped me on the back. And then I went, "Oh!" And he went, "It's a kidney stone."
Wow.
But that's the doctoral practice now, is to make you go, "Oh!" in the waiting room. It's like Shatner. Just Shatner being possessed. "Oh!" My hands went out, you know.
Yeah, and then they just say drink a lot of water, and ever since then I have been I drink so much fluid, so I never get that shit again.
I am the urinator.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
All right. I know you got to my office and you were waiting outside the bathroom like, what's the code?
Yeah,
what's the code for the bathroom?
Are you peeing more often?
Yes.
Me too.
Yeah.
And that's a price.
Yeah.
And now your kidney's probably not processing and holding at the same rate it used to.
Uh-huh.
So it's going to start making its way through sooner, more pee stops.
Yeah.
Man, it started to hit me, and my kidneys were doing funny things from motorcycling for years.
Yeah.
And just going over those train tracks, and the shocks are just so good.
Right,
you know?
right.
And that adds up after a while. You bang those things around, and I've knocked them around.
Yeah.
I also was doing Krav Maga, and guys are, and,
are you serious?
Punching and kicking.
Wow.
In the back. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Senior citizen here, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever do any long motorcycle trips?
Yeah. I took what was Kawasaki's version of a touring BMW at the time called Concours, and it was like a Ninja mated with a Goldwing, so he could twisty and turn a little bit with it, you know.
But it wasn't. You weren't as leaning as forward. It was more upright,
more comfortable
like
on
a Nightwing. Yeah,
pushing middle-aged fellas back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I took that bike in '94 from here to Portland, Maine in 6 days.
Nice.
And just to see if I could.
Yeah.
You know.
Where did you feel the fatigue? Your back, or was it fine?
Yeah. Knees.
The knees.
Knees holding them in one place too long.
Right.
Because you have to. You don't really.
Can't
and
straighten them
you can
out.
put pegs out in the front if you want. That bike did not have the option.
Right.
You lean them into a fairing.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So I was gunning it the entire time, and I was traveling into Utah. I was going to see if I could make it to Utah in one day. I did it, you know. Got to the national park, and there was a Native American gift store, and I pull in, and I'm just...
You could buy Native Americans? Just put them on the back of the bike?
That's right. I was just looking for turquoise, but okay. I was just looking for a bracelet, but yeah, come on. All right, hop on the back. Yeah, sure. Come on. What's your name? Here we go. Let's see this country we stole from you. Let's see what we've done to it.
Yeah. Why are you crying back there?
And so the guy, long hair, comes up to the counter and he sees I'm just covered in dust.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing my leathers in kind of the wrong weather for it because I just didn't know what else to do with them. I thought I was going to need it at night. So sweaty, I'm a mess. And the guy comes up to me and goes, you look like you're on a long journey. I went, right, good. This guy's good. And he goes, you probably need a medicine bag. And I went, oh, really? How much is the medicine bag? $3. Give me a fucking medicine bag. $3. You kidding me? $3. Oh, but it needs something added. What? Tobacco. Oh, okay, here we go. How much is the tobacco? $1. Oh, give me some fucking tobacco then, God's sakes. And he gave me a ceremony you're supposed to do. And this is a very interesting, weird thing for good luck and travel. Because he said he rode the motorcycles for a while, too. But here's something he would do. I gave it a try. And if you go out on just the desert somewhere and you spit on the ground and do it with reverence, you're not insulting spirit or the earth. Because that's your water supply. And you're in a desert and you just gave some up to say thanks.
Yeah.
This is more like Dune at this point, Yeah. And so, and then you take tobacco and you figure out north, south, east, west. And I figure out north, thank you, Spirit, for protecting me on my trip. Throw a little bit of tobacco. Then south, east, west, cover all the corners. Yeah. And I got back on the bike. I started up. A truck pulls up. He goes, where you headed? I said, I'm going east. He goes, me too. Follow me. And he goes, why? I rigged my hood of my truck with all this electronic stuff that can tell you not only when radar is, but it scrambles the radar, so just stay behind me.
No kidding.
Yeah, a guy used to be in the Air Force, and he's pulling all this crap out of fighter planes that does it, and he put it in there in his truck. And he was getting away with murder, and I was drafting behind him for miles and miles and miles, going, and I got way far east.
When you draft behind a truck, does that mean there's like a slipstream that you're behind? And so you're...
Up to a point. Yeah. I mean, mine's a big bike with a huge fairing in the front of it. Yeah. And so, and very powerful, 1,000 cc's. And it had its own influence and everything, but you could start to feel it pull. But a little bike, whew, if you have less weight, it'll just yank you right along. Small cars will get that sometimes, you know. It's not the full thing, and if you don't hit the gas, you're not going to get anywhere. But
I used to do it when I had a Volkswagen Rabbit, and when I was so broke, I used to draft trucks to save on gas from Boston to New York, because I would go from Boston to New York every week.
And driving what?
A Volkswagen Rabbit.
A Rabbit, yeah. Rabbit will draft, for sure.
A 76 Volkswagen Rabbit, and I would get behind a truck, and I would feel it just suck me.
You in the pocket.
Yep.
Yeah. It's Bernoulli's principle put on its side.
Bernoulli's principle.
That's the principle of lift over the curvature of a bird's wing. That it has this part and then sweeps out back. Yeah. And what it does is as it hits the wind instead of going straight starts to go like this. Right. It branch over, and that's a vacuum. Right. And the vacuum pulls the wing upward. Right. That's lift. Speed, lift. Right.
Yeah, I remember this Van Morrison song called "Into the Slipstream," and I was like, "What the hell's a slipstream?" And I looked it up, and I think it's a word describing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fish do it. They have their version of it.
Yeah. Right.
That's sort of like what a pilot would call a tailwind.
Right. So let's talk about this special. As I told you, I saw the first half. Yeah. And which is never a compliment when you say to somebody, I saw the first half. But in my case, I was going to watch the second half in the office, but you got here early, which is a pleasant surprise.
I ruined it by showing up, but I thought I timed the traffic perfect, and I screwed it up. But I keep thinking traffic's back to normal.
No, there's no traffic.
No,
there's no traffic in L.A. Yeah. But so this special, and what is the special called?
Rick Overton's very first Set List special.
Okay. So Set List, which was created by Troy Conrad. Right. And it is a show that's been going on not just in L.A., but I think around the country.
Around the world.
It's been a
festival hit. I was doing it in Edinburgh in 2011.
No shit.
In the caves, man. I was doing it over there, and it was still a relatively new thing. Uh-huh. But I've been with Setlist since the very beginning. I think it's the coolest thing to happen to comedy in a long... Don't you agree?
It really is. It's something that strips away all pretensions and you know, I think sometimes you see style over substance with comedy, and it forces the substance to come to the front and the style to get minimized.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
And
Great assessment.
It's essentially you go up on stage and you're working without a net. You stand in front of a crowd of people and you just start talking, and then you turn around and there's a screen behind you and it has a phrase on it, and it is usually nonsensical. Sometimes it kind of juxtaposes two different ideas in the phrase.
Yeah.
It's absurd. It's not anything that you could literally make a joke on. It's more of something that provokes you into a stream of consciousness of funny.
Right, and you don't have to be literal with each one of the suggestions.
Right.
And it's really a special treat for the audience that they can feel like they were very clever in catching, oh, that's what you meant by the suggestion.
Right.
And so they're sort of applauding themselves as well, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Like, what were some of the suggestions in your special?
One of them was a clownting.
A clownting.
And so what Troy loves to do is take a normal word, put a tweak on it.
Yeah.
Now you have to explain this. So it becomes like Liar's Club.
Yeah.
And you're given this fucked up, stupid object, and you have to say what ancient history this thing has.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so a clownting. And because I'm doing political stuff these days, and I was already on a political rant, I said, clownting is we have to take an accounting of all the clowns running this country.
Yeah.
And because the whole point for me is to try and not just do one thing and then it keeps becoming a brand new theme every time.
Uh-huh.
I try to make it one big theme throughout
Yeah.
and set it up so distinctly in the beginning that it's 10 times harder to explain the other thing when it shows up.
Right.
You know, make such a firm lockdown setup
Yeah.
that, oh, shit. You
Yeah.
know? I love putting myself in those, oh, shit moments.
Right. Right. And
It's the adrenaline. It's like a motorcycle. It's what's in this curve. What's up next?
Yeah. But it's the adrenaline, but I think as much of it is adrenaline because it's fight or flight, where flight means walking off stage. So you gotta fight.
You gotta fight.
You're gonna do it.
Sink or swim.
Yeah. And so, but
Dive
it
in.
also it forces you also to, and you know, the number one. And did you have training in improv? Were you in one of the troops?
Weird training, but yes, I trained early with J.J. Barry.
Is that San Francisco?
This was in New York.
Okay.
And Martin Harvey Friedberg. And then guesting with lots of people. But my association with Robin Williams and playing with him on stage sort of...
That was in San Francisco.
Sometimes in San Francisco, but it started in New York.
Oh, really?
We played 40-something plus years ago.
Uh-huh.
And the friendship just built over that time.
Yeah.
And we established a reputation sort of that through association.
Right.
That I must be a pretty good improver too. And so they let me into games I didn't have as much practice on, and I just figured I'll pick it up as we're going.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I made a mistake, they'd say afterwards, here's notes, and you know what, we don't do that in this game. And just, okay, got
Right.
it. For next time. Got it.
But the
Thanks.
whole concept of yes and, which is something that is great for life in general, to pick up that concept, but it's sort of like the cornerstone of improv, and it's accepting. And when you do set list, it forces you to honor that part of yourself that did have a first thought and went, no, and you go, no, you can't say no. You have to just have that first thought.
And then yes and that.
Yes.
And you have to build on that and somehow, because it's opening a channel in your brain.
Yeah.
All of this is practice the entire time. It's a muscle, and you are building it through this exercise, and you're learning to trust your gut and your subconscious, if you want to use whatever terminology we give this thing.
Yeah.
Intuition. Your intuition is smarter than your brain. Your brain is just a memory device. It just records and replays and takes credit for. Ego lives in all of that. It's just a glitch in the machine. But inspiration is you breathe it in and suddenly this thing. How many times have you riffed and you said something you never even thought you would say? It's very well informed and you didn't do any research on it. It just came out. It crushed. And that feels like inspiration to me. Doesn't it feel that way to you?
Yes, songwriters talk about that they don't know where the music came from. It just sort of came through their body, and they can't predict when it's going to happen.
Right.
And so that inspiration, or whatever you call it, is something that it's subconscious or unconscious.
Yeah.
It's something that is like, if you force it, it's sweaty. I've seen people do set lists where they're trying to be too clever, and it starts to become a cerebral exercise instead of one that's more flowing.
Cerebral is a memory-based exercise, so they are riffling through memory files for past things they've said that would apply here.
Yeah.
And look, that's going to happen no matter what in
Sure.
set list. It has to happen, and we're using the English language, not inventing a new language for the game.
Yeah.
They're going to be using lots of previous reference things.
Right.
But no, it's like the second hardest job in the world was being the first abstract painter because no one knows what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
The first hardest job in the world is being the second abstract painter because now everyone's comparing you to the first one. It's only 10 abstract painters down the road. It goes, oh, it's about the separate brush stroke and the interpretive view of that individual artist. And it takes several artists for that to lock into people's minds that this isn't theft.
Yeah.
This is evolution.
Right. Yeah, and when you do get that gift of like, they give you a clownting and you happen to have a bit about clowns and it's like, it finds its way in and then the audience is just like, oh, this guy's a fucking genius. And so, you have those little hand grenades that go off during the performance.
It will happen on a rare occasion, but it shouldn't be the point of the game. And so for the most part, that's not the case.
Right.
But it does happen.
Right.
And I think it's just part of the nature of it, I mean, at some point, someone else is going to say, if you're going to play the blues, what are you going to have to pay?
Yeah.
You're going to pay your dues.
Yeah.
Now, you've heard it before. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Right.
Let's just get to the rest of it.
Yeah. Your soul at the crossroads. That's what you got to pay to play the blues. So the audience that you get at these shows is also pretty incredible because as much as you are committing and taking a leap of faith, they are as well.
It's a great crowd. And it's like a jazz crowd. What we're doing is verbal jazz here.
Yeah.
And so it's good to have a crowd that knows what's going on as opposed to, hey, where's the fucking joke?
Yeah, right.
Got to kind of have to know some of the rules to play this and enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're appreciating that this is all spontaneous. And I mean, it's the same thing with stand-up. If I go on at a club and I do an hour in St. Louis, and in that hour I do, maybe 12 minutes of it is going to be improvised. It's going to be some crowd work. It's going to be talking about St. Louis off the top of my head, whatever. That's always what people say on the way out. I love that thing you did about when you talked to that woman. I love that. That's what they remember because those are the moments you're alive and you're present.
Your eyes change.
Yeah.
They become a little wider because there's more danger.
Yeah.
And your eyes naturally widen in danger.
Right.
But it makes everyone pop open with you.
Yeah. When you did improv with Robin, did you do like set improvisational games or did you guys just go up and wing it?
Always free-formed.
Yeah.
Never really played a game by the rules. And it's the closest thing to set list you can do without doing set list.
Right.
When the printed suggestions behind you. So the training was already there for decades, sort of in another way.
So how did it begin? How would a set begin for you guys?
He'd get going.
Yeah.
And I would just chime in every now and then. And I was measured by how well I suction drafted behind this giant juggernaut vessel in front of me.
Yeah.
And then in time, I would start to pitch suggestions and he would play off them, spark off, and then we'd go. And the trust built to where he would spark and I would go. And then we were there.
Right.
Yeah, built trust over time,
Yeah. Did you guys?
He's a tricky one to run neck to neck with.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it really is
You go so
something.
fast.
It's such a being. Well, so you were almost like a straight man that then got to shine as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, right.
Setup guy.
Right, the setup guy.
And I was happy to do it. There's a noble place in comedy for the setup man.
Right.
That's the character actor of comedy.
Yeah. And did of these? Was there a documentary that just came out about Robin? I haven't seen.
I've done interviews for like 7 different things, And
Yeah.
I'm glad that people are doing these interviews now.
Right.
And they're starting to deal with this exponent of ALS. Louie's body dementia.
Yeah.
Understanding these things are proteins,
Right.
It took his passing to bring awareness up about it.
Yeah.
And that there are others going through it and it needs to be addressed.
My father-in-law died of it last year.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was very sad. He was a brilliant man. He was a published. He had the Albert Hiss chair at Bard College, and he was a avowed communist. And he was, he knew. He was down in Nicaragua, like marching, and he was when Castro came and spoke at the UN, he was on his guest list. He was a really interesting. He was a hippie who really walked the walk.
How old was he when we lost him?
Probably 84, 83, 84. So he had a full life, but he was vital to the end. He was like still. He was still publishing. He was still writing. He just put out a new book, and but it happened so fast, and he just. The thing that you saw, and I know that Robin struggled with this, was the feeling that you couldn't fight and get it back. Like there was nothing you could do. Yeah. You had to just watch yourself lose your cognition.
It's an inevitability.
Yeah.
The driver is still in there.
Yeah.
The driver's going, none of the fucking buttons work. The brake doesn't work. The steering wheel doesn't work. And this thing is swerving all over the place while I watch out the windscreen.
Yeah, right.
My mother went through another variation of that with her body breaking down from the cancers.
Uh-huh.
And brilliant woman.
Yeah.
Body dying.
Yeah.
I can't say. I don't know which is worse. I know people who have lost loved ones to the mind going first. Mm-hmm. And that's its own separate horror.
Right.
I don't know. I won't make a value judgment and say which one is even worse.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Right. I think it's worse on the loved ones when the mind goes because they don't remember you. And that's very painful for people.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
And he had both go with this. He had the mind and the body were both going. He was shaking, and he had the dementia. And then I watched him, and I was there with him the night he died, and he couldn't breathe anymore. And just watching him fight for every breath, it was brutal.
It's now as we get older. I'm 66.
Yeah.
And it's weird to know this is what fortune looks like.
Yeah.
Fortune in that we are on this side of the circumstance. Mm-hmm. We are witness to rather than participant in, Mm-hmm. And it'll just, I think that we have to get a grace about the amount of funerals we will attend.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's this is the time in life when that part picks up.
Well, and you sort of have to recalibrate your relationship to death and like you said, accepting that there's going to be a lot of them, and that I know that the first funerals I've gone to, I was knocked out for weeks. It was such an emotional, I lost my father when I was young, and it was something. Yeah, and I'm still not over that, and I realized like I can't go through that. Most of my friends are older than me for some reason. I've always had older friends, so I'm gonna have to watch them die before I die, and I have to say, let's celebrate. As when possible, let's celebrate this life, and not dwell in the circumstances and the details of the death, but dwell in the spirit of what we shared while they were alive.
Well, there's a Fitzsimmons for you.
Is that an Irish thing?
The wake.
Yeah, right. Laughing, telling stories.
I'd prefer that if there's any kind of bash for me.
Yeah.
I would prefer that.
Yeah. Yeah, we lost a guy, Jerry Red Wilson. See this poster up here? We did these. He was a dear friend of mine who died he was about 33, and he had just made it as a kid. He was a inner city kid who made it he was a school teacher, and then he got a big development deal. He was a real Archie Bunker type character. Had a CBS sitcom, and he was on the Tonight Show, and he proposed to his girlfriend on the Tonight Show, and he had this vibrant life, and then he died of spinal meningitis, which he caught while he was traveling. And so his wake in Queens with his family, I knew his family really well, and all the comedians showed up to the wake, and everybody was devastated. And then the father said to me, would you mind getting up? And he goes, just tell a funny story or something. Mm-hmm. So I got up and I told a few funny stories about Jerry. And then Dave Attell got up and he roasted Jerry. And then Greg Giraldo got up. And then one after another, all these, Colin Quinn, everybody got up.
Wow.
And then so we had it went on for 2 hours.
Wow.
And the father said, we need to do this every year. And so the following year we did it at Caroline's Comedy Club. and it sold out so fast that we moved it to Town Hall, which is 1,500 seats. And the lineups, the lineup on this poster was Attell, Lewis Black, Patrice O'Neill, Judy Gold, Colin Quinn, Artie Lang. We had Jon Stewart do it. We had Jay Leno do it. And we used to get these crazy lineups, and his whole family, all his cousins, all his students, everybody was there every year. And we did it. We did it for like 10 years until I moved to LA.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that's my feelings about Jerry. My joy in those nights is my most recent memory of him. It's not him dying.
Yeah, that's the Wake way.
Yeah.
And I prefer that.
Right.
I would like to think that the thing I tried to have a lot in my life, we can even have after I'm gone, even in the description of my life.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I don't want my friends messed up and sad.
Yeah.
This is an inevitability. I would like to forestall it as long as imaginably possible. And I'm going to do my damnedest to do that.
You don't have an age you feel like you want to kind of check out at?
No, Dick Van Dyke, baby.
Yeah, how old is he now?
94, 95, something
Mel
like
Brooks,
that.
probably
Mel
about
Brooks.
the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the model for me.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Right.
Come and get me.
Really? Not me.
No, you got a number?
I feel like 83.
You got your sleep number on your bed?
Yeah. Right. I think 83 is a good number.
Why did you pick that number?
I feel like, maybe because I have depression. I've struggled with depression my whole life, and I've never been suicidal, but I've always been relieved by the concept of death. I know that sounds sad.
Do you believe in a continuum?
Yes, I do.
Well, that's an interesting interpretation of it then. I don't always know if that's suicidal, if one believes in a continuation.
Yes.
It's a different dynamic driving it behind it. You just want a change of circumstance.
Yeah. I feel like the next one's happier than this one.
Yeah. I don't know how to judge that. I don't know that you're wrong.
Yeah.
You could be. I guess we're going to find out.
So you don't believe in an afterlife?
Could be.
Not negating it.
I'm absolutely open to the possibility.
Yeah. You're yes-ending the afterlife.
Yes-ending it. Let's roll with it. It could be a change of radio frequencies.
Yeah.
The fact that a cat can see things on your drapes that you can't because they have a vertical pupil means they're letting in other bandwidths of light that your round pupil doesn't let in. They are literally seeing things you can't see.
Yeah. Your dog is barking at a whistle that you can't hear.
And so these other universes exist.
Yeah.
And they say it's a polyverse. The scientists are saying now that there could be multiverses.
Yeah.
So what if death is just passage to a verse?
Yeah.
By change of frequency.
Right.
So, I don't know if there's a way to be scientific about this.
How can this gift of consciousness that we have be something that can be extinguished? It's illogical. I mean, by all physics, by all laws of physics about conservation of mass, conservation of energy, there's got to be conservation of spirit. It doesn't make sense. They would go away.
All that work. But you could look at an ant going, all that work, and then squish, you step on it.
Yeah.
But they live in a collective, and they are for the good of the queen of the hive.
Yeah.
And they live with a sort of willing to die to make a chain over water for others to walk.
Yeah.
And maybe they believe a queen will breed them once again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they believe in reincarnation or not.
All right. How many people would you die for?
It would... 7. No. Okay. 5. My last offer.
I won't go 1 over
lower.
5. Then people start coming to you and negotiating with you.
Yeah. This is my son. He's a fine fellow. Won't you die for my son?
Come on, you're 66.
6. You had a fine time.
Yeah.
I heard about the motorcycle.
Yeah, I think I would die. I would die for, probably less than 10. Less than 10.
I mean, I could die I might wind up dying for a stranger if
That's
there's
true.
something going down on the subway or the street or something like that.
Prayer for Owen Meany. Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta step up, and it might be very dangerous to do.
That's the way to go, man. Giving your life for somebody else, that is the way to go.
That's a noble out.
Yes.
But staying and teaching is another noble out.
Yeah.
Trying to live the entire time is another thing,
Right.
And if just for the sheer fuck you defiance to the kind of world that would love to see you pushing daisies, Fuck you.
Yeah.
I ruined another one of your fucking days. Aw, boo-hoo.
That's the motorcycle guy and you talking.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm still, I'm trying to be a guy who has reason, lead the way, and that there's a beacon of understanding light behind it all.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just this vengeful Scottish Highlander that'll get you in the middle of the night. Freedom!
Yeah, I think about the circumstance that you go in defines how you're remembered too much. When somebody commits suicide, it is something that you can never really understand what they were going through or why they did it, and it is such a shame because it does overshadow the memory of the life so much.
Rich Jenny.
Rich Jenny, I know.
That one gut punched me. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
Friends who were closer did.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Right.
There were deaths that gut punch you, like Robin. I was in my car.
Yeah.
When I heard, I stopped in traffic.
Yeah.
And the weird part, lots of cars were stopping in traffic.
Yeah.
Just in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Like they all got the news.
Yeah.
And it froze people. I was one of them.
Mm.
And then there was like when I heard about Chris Farley. And I didn't do the same thing. I just had that sad, slow nod.
Yeah.
Like, well, here's the day we were waiting for.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sadly.
Right.
Not that I ever wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how this works.
Yeah. Right.
Life doesn't always go off your plans.
Mm-hmm.
And there were deaths that came that were terrible shocks like that.
Yeah.
No warning. Then the other ones you kind of,
Yeah.
damn it. I was hoping I was wrong.
Yeah. Right. And Artie Lang is a guy who's a dear friend, and he's always number one in the death pools, and people bet against him. And there's a part of him that is like that Scottish part of you that says, fuck you, you keep counting me out, but I'm not gonna do it.
Attaboy. Did he rebuild?
He's sober.
Is he rebuilding the nose?
Yeah.
Is it restructured?
I think that the surgeon was waiting until he was sober for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, don't go back after I did the work.
Right.
Make sure you're going to keep this work.
Yeah.
Good. So he got a new cartilage in there? Good for him.
I don't know that he got it yet. But I know he's been sober now for a good... I don't know if he slipped, but I think overall he's been sober for a year or two.
Wow.
Yeah.
I really look forward to him bouncing back into the
Yeah.
game. He's always been a funny guy, and he's a good man.
Right.
People, they make an association about drugs saying, oh, well, you're from the drug world. It doesn't mean they're not good people.
Right.
Lenny
right.
Bruce was a good guy.
Yeah.
Richard was a good guy.
Yeah.
There's just people got haunted with things.
Yeah.
My dad drank too much.
Yeah.
Came out of World War II. They didn't know what PTSD was. And they didn't always call it shell shock. And they go, oh, you having trouble sleeping, Mac? You know what? Go out, have a few martinis, meet a dame, eat a steak, walk it off.
Right. Did he have shell shock, your dad?
He was in France, and, it was pretty awful. And
He was in real combat in France?
yeah, he was in the infantry, yeah.
Really?
So, he was in that Band of Brothers kind of stuff. And
No shit.
yeah, I was seeing guys just explode next to you and
Right.
body parts landing on you and things like that. So if you listen to my dad's early music work.
Oh, he's a musician?
Yeah, my dad arranged for Thelonious Monk.
Get the fuck out of here.
If you ever hear about the Jazz Loft, it's Hall Overton. That's my dad's loft. The movie Minamata with Johnny Depp's coming out, and that's my dad's loft in the building that he plays the guy who owns it.
No shit.
Yeah, my dad helped invent Bebop Jazz.
Really?
Yeah, we moved to Englewood because Diz and Thelonious found a house near them, so we moved near them.
Damn. Wait, where was that?
Englewood, New Jersey.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, my dad was a jazz guy.
So when you were growing up, were you around these guys?
Yeah.
Who were some of the guys you remembered being around?
I played Lionel Hampton's Vibes. I met Diz would play Salt Peanuts, and I would die laughing from it. Bop it up, and he'd do his cheeks out like that
right.
because he knew kids loved it.
Yeah.
I would just fall down screaming.
Yeah.
And but I didn't always understand everything that Dad and Thelonious were saying to each other because they spoke in kind of a cool jazz code.
Right.
And I'd be eating dinner and looking back and forth. I wouldn't always understand what they were laughing at.
Yeah. Right. Was Stan Getz part of that scene?
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, Jimmy Rainey, a lot of these guys were...
Yeah.
If you ever see the documentary, The Jazz Loft,
Yeah.
you could check it out. That's where, from 54 to 64, they were inventing bebop.
Yeah.
This is one of the workshops where they changed the sound out of swing and started doing the smaller combo sound and being more experimental. It was an improv time.
Right.
My dad loved improv. That's why he hipped me to Jonathan Winters when I was a kid. He wanted to be cool.
Yeah.
Because jazz is cool. So the problem with that being funny is cool is the opposite of funny.
Yeah.
Because it's everything you don't show.
Right.
And so there was a hidden part of him that always wished he could be a comedian too. And it's a rare situation when Pete Barbuti does it, you know? Jazz and hilarious.
Right. And
he's playing off his look a little bit, you know? But Dad was like a great looking cat, you know? He looked like a cross between JFK and Ben Affleck.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so...
he could have been the leading man.
He could have been.
Yeah.
He could have been. I couldn't, but he could.
Yeah.
I got Mom's dad's looks, the physicist.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hair gave up. Dad had that, you know.
Yeah. So what instruments did he play?
Piano. And he taught at Juilliard and the New School.
Really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, like a hallway, Hall Overton.
So what was his foundation for that? Did he grow up playing classical? Was he trained?
Nah, he's just in the Army and he wanted to play the piano. Started doing USO.
Yeah.
And out of the Army, he got some jobs washing dishes. He's in New York. He had music in him.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be doing music. But the early work he was writing on his own compositions, were very dark and action-based. And finally, I realized he's processing like D-Day and World War II and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This music is what's in his head.
Right.
And in his heart. And when I listen to it now, I completely have a different understanding of the music. And now I get what he's doing.
Wow. That is an interesting combination of having been in war and having gone through trauma and then taking it and having an outlet for it through music.
Right.
And what a perfect expression of it is bebop jazz.
Yeah.
That noise that's call and response. It's almost like a war. It's almost like firing at each other.
Interesting. And and dissonance.
Yeah.
Intentional dissonance. Your shoulders are supposed to go up a little bit. It's supposed to make you feel that.
Right.
Filmmakers certainly had their outlet to do, and but I think music and film were probably the two great things back then to let it out. Comedian wasn't really getting up and talking about. Jonathan would. Jonathan is one of the few cats that would get up and talk about all that stuff.
Yeah.
He was on, I don't know if it was the Indiana or what, it was the ship that did not get hit by a kamikaze. And while he was working 40 mil on the deck.
No shit.
Anti-aircraft, boom, 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 boom. Somehow he didn't go deaf.
Yeah.
40 mil. The shell is as big as a coffee cup around, you know.
Yeah. Right. And did your dad ever talk about war stuff?
Sometimes.
He did.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a ton, but some.
Right.
Yeah, he wanted to be a fighter pilot.
But
he's my size.
Yeah.
And so the guy, when you go to the recruiting office, you know, the Army was everything. It was Army, Air Force, and infantry. It was all one thing.
Yeah.
You sign one paper.
Right.
And they go, oh, you like that P-38 up on the wall there, huh, son?
Yeah.
You bet I do. Oh, so you'd like to fly one, would you? You know it. Well, why don't you sign right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he signs. He goes, now, how tall are you, son? I'm 6'3". Oh, you can't fly a line. In the infantry, you can't close the lid on your head.
Right. I remember my father was in the Army for a minute, and he was at like basic training, and they go, can any of you guys drive? And my father's like, "Oh, this is fucking great. I'm gonna get behind a Jeep, and that's easier than marching." He goes, "Yeah, I drive." And the guy goes, "Why do you drive those fucking drive those wheelbarrows across the field? Do that all day."
I drive.
and then I don't know what happened to my father. His military record is very splotchy. He was in there.
What year to what year?
It would have been during the Korean War, I would imagine. Like probably if he was born in 39, so it would have been around 1957. Was the Korean War still going on in 57? No? Was it over by then?
Yeah.
So I guess
no war in 57.
so there was no war, but he got in, and then he just sort of ended up in New York, and all of a sudden he was in Venice Beach, California, getting high and hanging out with his friends, and like, I don't know that he did, like, he never got in trouble for it, but I know he didn't do his 4 years. I don't know what happened. I know when I went to college, I had an Army duffel bag that said Fitzsimmons on it that had all my belongings in it. That's how I got to college. And other than that, there was no stories about it. It was just sort of not talked about in my family. I don't know that he was there was probably no draft at that point. I don't know why he would have signed up.
I think
Maybe there was a draft.
There was a draft. It ended shortly after I had to register.
Yeah.
I pulled a high number. 345.
Yeah.
Or I would have gone to the Saigon evac.
No shit.
Yeah, some of my pals did.
Damn.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
I missed it by a high number. That's all.
Wow. Did you have guilt about that?
Not a ton.
No.
No, I don't have survivor guilt kind of thinking about things like that. I use the reference of, I think I was I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Life had it figured out.
Right.
Who am I to argue with life?
Right. Yeah.
If you have survivor guilt for every person survivor guilt for people, I should have been in that condo with the people in Florida. You can't do that.
No.
You just look at the news. You'll be doing it all day.
Yeah. Right. Right.
That's the same thing as we were talking about with our friends who pass on. We grieve. But after a succession of times, we grieve in a way that it's not numbness, but it's knowing.
Yeah.
Knowing the pattern.
Right.
I don't know what the word is. I don't know if it's wisdom or just awareness.
Right.
Or what it is, but a seasoned perspective comes in time about it that doesn't look like the first impact.
So it's fate. I guess sometimes I think about like if I'm gonna die at an old age, it's got to be. I have to feel like during that time I was here, I was challenging myself with new things all the time. Otherwise, it's not. I didn't really live. Like,
I like that.
Like I need new challenges right now. I feel like that's why bringing it back to set list.
Yes.
Set list makes you feel alive, and it reminds you that you are meant to be a comedian, 100%. or maybe reminds you that, hey, what are you doing, man? You've been faking it this whole time. Go get a fucking job. Have you seen people just absolutely tank it in set list?
I saw a couple of fellas over in the UK in the caves
who
were really drunk.
Yeah.
Got up and said, "What's this fucking bullshit?
Yeah.
What's this? I can't do anything with that suggestion."
Yeah.
And he's getting a laugh off of bagging on the game.
Uh-huh.
And what's this one? That's one worse than the other one.
Yeah.
And whereas, you're getting laughs, you're not getting set list laughs.
Right.
And you're not really playing the game.
And you're fucking the game up for everybody else.
And by suggestion 3, silence.
Yeah.
You used up your 2 laughs. You can't do the one joke for everything.
Right.
So that's one way to. And some people, they take it on a dare.
Yeah.
If you're really a top flight comic, you can play set list. All right, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Then you get there and, oh shit, it requires me to use my right brain. I am a memory-based act.
Yeah. I respect any comic that goes out and does it. I've seen people do it that I think of as like really craftsmen of their words, and I think good for you for coming out to. I'm trying to think who it was. It Jake Johansson? Has Jake done it?
I think he has, but
I
I'm not
think
quite
I saw
certain.
Jake do it, and that's a guy who really is meticulous with his act.
Yes.
You know, and very cerebral.
Right.
But then when you see them go, no, I can do this too, or let's see if I can do this too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mike Mcshane who doesn't do stand-up.
Who's Mike Mcshane?
Now, you remember him from Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner?
Nope.
He was Friar Tuck, larger fella.
Okay.
And he's an improv actor. He was on Who's Line for many years. Song improv master. Everyone knows him for lots of that. But he doesn't do stand-up. I talked him into it.
Yeah.
And he destroyed.
Yeah.
And now he's one of the fave regular guys.
Really?
Yeah, because he uses that part of his head the entire time.
Uh-huh.
Your right hemisphere or wherever it is in your gut.
Yeah.
Just go, just talk, trust yourself.
Right.
And the same thing with acting is, how do I act this? Sometimes it's just trust your subconscious to know what these words mean and stay out of the fucking way.
So learn the lines so that you've got them rote, and then you can let your imagination fill it in.
Mm-hmm. And your reference files and all the part of your memory that goes, oh, I know what these words mean because of all the other times I've used them.
Right.
And meant it.
Yeah.
And it'll just put the meaning back in. Hopefully it puts the meaning back in.
Mm-hmm. So did you train for acting?
I did some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did some at Herbert Berghoff Studios in New York. And then I came
Studios,
out to HB. And then wonderful teacher Brian Reese, R-E-I-S-E, 323-969-8989. And he does cold reading. That is spectacular because, you know, a lot of actors come hoping to have their back rub partner for 6 weeks in a theater scene. And that's not the way this works here.
Yeah.
You've got 45 minutes. And look, now the world is different. You're going to Zoom everything. You got to be, you know, everything has to be done on camera because they don't want to bring you into the office anymore. But it used to be, you had 45 minutes after you've printed out the pages to get over there and make every scene study choice while in traffic.
Right.
And lock it down.
Yep. Yeah, I remember I had one of my few car accidents in my life is I picked up, this is back when you had to pick up your sides at your agency.
Yes.
And I drive to Gersh in Hollywood, in Beverly Hills, and I run inside, they give me the script, I sit in my car and I highlight my lines, and now I'm driving to the Valley to do the audition, and I hit a car. Thank God it wasn't a person. I was staring straight down trying to learn these fucking lines. And it's like, I got a friend named Matt Malloy who's an actor, and he's a guy like you. He's a character actor who has worked nonstop for 30 years. Great. And he is just I play golf with him, and he acts the way he plays golf, which is like when he stands over a golf ball, you can see his lips moving because he's got his steps. He shuffles his feet, he sits his butt back, he does this, and he does the same thing with the script. He looks at it. He breaks it down in a method where it's, first you do this, then you do this, then what's my fucking whatever his process is, what's my obstacle, what's my goal, all that stuff, and then he just goes in and does it, and he can, like you said, he can do it in 45 minutes.
You have to.
Yeah.
The guy.
Have you ever written out your process?
The guy who can do it in 45 minutes will beat the one who does it in 50 minutes.
Right. Have you ever written out your process? Or you just kind of have it in your gut?
I put little slashes in, and I blow the words up really big. And I don't blow up the other words. I shrink them down. Yeah. So I really got to listen. And there's ways to just, if you hit it with your eyes down and up, you can also do it like this. So one version is like this. Like this. And the other one's like, yeah. I just saw it. When I shook my head and went, like I'm shrugging my shoulders, like, like you're about to say something, but I'm completely swooping the page. Yeah. And then back up. So and if you do hit words, one hit word will start the paragraph usually. If you train your brain to, the hit word loads the paragraph. So you have a decent memory. Yeah. You make one. Yeah. You build it. It's a muscle. And you force fit it. Right. Into place. Right. And so, as the older you get, that's handy to have. But, right. And to have the eye contact is really, that's the thing. Right. It's not down on the page and saying it, unless you can momentarily, because you're some kind of thing you have to move your head around for, but they want to find some physicality that lets you get your eyes down on the page. Yeah, it's a technique, and don't overdo it. They'll catch it. Don't get caught. Yeah. It's like, don't get caught acting. Yeah. Get away with it as long as you can. Right. Well, you've gotten away with it for a long time. Unbelievable. Rick Overton. Can't believe it. My guest, he's got a new special out, and it's called what again? Rick Overton's very first set list special. And it is available where? Comedy Dynamics, ComedyDynamics.com.
ComedyDynamics.com.
And Amazon and several platforms coming up after that.
Okay, great. Well, it's a pleasure having you. And this is the second or third time you've been on the show.
It's an honor.
And
Thanks
it's
for
always
having me
great
back.
to sit down with you. I miss like seeing you at a comedy club and being able to hang out. Those days
likewise.
are back now.
Yeah.
Have you been down at the clubs at all?
Not that much yet.
Yeah.
But, we'll see what happens when they go indoors, because I tried an outdoor one for a little while.
Yeah.
I was freezing my ass off out there,
It's summer, Rick.
It was in the
I know.
winter I went to one, and I was freezing my fucking ass
Yeah,
off
you
there.
don't need that shit.
Doing this for applause.
Yeah.
Slapping my own shoulders,
Spoken like a guy who's ridden a motorcycle across the country.
I turned into such a softie after those years, man. And the reason I got off the bike after a certain point is no one's looking out the windshield. They're all looking in their right hand.
Yeah, right.
I can't tell you the amount of times I had to lock both brakes, slide sideways like a flat track next to the car and go dunk, 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 dunk on the window. And the guy goes, hold on a second. Wait, thumb, send. And then he looks up, yes.
Right.
That was the reflex time. I would have been through his windshield and into his back seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't ride the motorcycle. I've had to give up lots of shit I love, man.
Yeah, right.
Just to keep chugging, but not comedy. I'm not giving that up.
That's it.
So when are you playing again? Where you booked next?
I got some dates coming up. August 6th and 7th, I'm going to be at Bananas in Fort Lee, New Jersey.
Bananas!
Have you been there?
Yeah!
Yeah.
Tell them I say hello, would you?
I will, of course.
Great.
And then where else? As long as you're asking me about my dates. I'm going to also be in Golden, Colorado on the August 26th through the 28th.
Beautiful.
Go to Fitzdog.com to get yourself some tickets to these shows. Rick Overton, only you let me do my plugs at the end of your interview.
It's
the
an
best.
honor, my friend. You're the best.
All right, I'll
Thank
see you soon. Thanks.
Thank you again, Greg.
God bless.
God bless you right back, buddy.